Thanks for joining us, Nomad PDU, today for an advanced tutorial. I want to talk about the fridges initially because becoming into summer, the biggest problem we have is that people do not understand, even now after thousands and thousands of views of our tutorials about using fridges, people still call us and say my fridge doesn't work. As you can see here, I've got a fridge that's connected to a Nomad that says 10.9 volt. The fridge is now not working. I'll get a phone call and say the Nomad's not working. It's not the case. The battery simply is a battery that provides power. How does your fridge work? I know this fridge cuts out at about 10.7 and there's a voltage drop between the unit and the fridge. So what that's doing there is probably giving an error message. You can see E1 and it's saying this 10.9 volt. Reason why, that's set on high. This is actually set on high at the moment. So you can see over here it says high and max. So if I was running this out of a card directly or an AGM, I could run that on high max, no problems at all. But because I'm running it off the Nomad, I'll say, well, let's put it on a more economical cycle so it gets more out of the fridge and allows it to run lower. I think these have set at both dual zone 95 at, I've got about minus 14, minus 11 or something like that. So let's take this out of here for the second. And you can see here this Nomad's 11.7 and this one's 10.9. So if I plug this in over here, I'm also going to change the settings on the Nomad because that will work. I'm going to change the settings over here. And I'm going to change it to Eco, Max Eco. I've got Eco, and then I'm going to set high, medium, low. I'm going to set that to low. So now I'm going to set that to low, and I've got them at the moment. I've got to set it at the minus 10 plus there. So what you'll find is that will recalibrate, and that will start working. And it started to work. So it was never the Nomad in the first place, it was just the voltage. The fridge was set in the wrong voltage range. It was never a problem with the fridge or never a problem with the Nomad. But every single time that happens, we will get a call saying there's something wrong with the Nomad. It's not the Nomad and it's not the fridge. We've been over this 100 times that it is the range that the fridge likes. We also have another 50 litre fridge that likes 9 volt. It works perfectly down to 9 volt. The Nomad runs from 12.6 down to 9 volt. The new prismatics, they'll actually fully charge and they'll run at around 12.8 constant. So it's about the chemistry and the different voltage. It's up to you as a customer to look at what is it you require. So these guys here are now quite happily run, but even though that low setting is on there, this is still going to cut out probably at about, I don't know, about 10.6, 10.5, somewhere around that mark it'll cut out. If I want to get round that, and one of the great things about the Siga DC, where you charge from the vehicle to your Nomad to charge it, is I'm going to use a 10 amp Siga DC here, which I've got plugged into the Nomad that didn't work. So this Nomad didn't work. So that will be the discussion I have with the customers that the Nomad doesn't work. I'll take my Siga DC and simply take from the Nomad, it takes 9 to 36 volt in and makes 12.6 come out. So from that Nomad, if I took one of my power analyzer and plugged it in here, it will tell me that when that's plugged in, plugged in, it will show me 12.6 coming out. So it says here 10.9 and out of here 11.6. So what I could do with the Nomad that doesn't work, I could take my fridge like so. I'm going to plug it into the Siga DC, so 9 to 36 in, 12.6 out, as long as that's connected, which it will be. Yeah, it started. So now that was a Nomad that apparently didn't work. So now that's going to kick in and that's going to fire up and it'll work fine. Guess what? It works. That Nomad will run down now until it's dead flat. So you've got a charger that you can also use to get more out of your fridge and Nomad relationship. So that's that there. So what I've got over here, and that's at temperature now. So what I've got here is I'm going to also use a 24 volt air conditioner. This is actually an Aircond that's 24 volt. Again, using one of the step-ups we've had before, the same as the Siga DC. This one here takes 9 to 36 volt and converts it to 24 volt. So what I would do is take my, you can see the size of the cord here. That's a 24 volt system over here. And these are also one of our products. And I'm going to plug that into the Nomad. So that's going to draw maybe up to 20 amp maybe, but let's put this in here and see what happens. So I plugged it in here and I will turn this on. Well, it's on now. I'll set that at 16 degrees. and that's a 24 volt system from here. So that's taking 11.5 volt, converted to 24 volt, running a 24 volt air conditioner. Now that will run at around about 15 to 18 amp. That's if it's running flat out at 60 degrees. It is actually an aircon with gas in it. So that will run a tent maybe 6x5, so 30 square meters. Does a great job. So you can do that as well. So this guy here, let me take my fridge. Let me just take this guy here and let that sit. And then I'm going to take my power analyzer out, because that's just something you don't need. Plug that as I would in a normal situation. You remember you can get Anderson to Anderson's. It's simply voltage in, voltage out. That one's 9 to 36 volt. Going to plug it in there. The fridge will like that and it will start up. So that can run the Nomad dead flat. Now remember, they've got a 20 amp max output at any given time. So what else can I do? I can take my pocket inverter like so, and I can charge my 18 volt cordless drills. You would have seen this in the previous tutorials. As long as I don't exceed the amperage. So even this one here is drawing 11, 10, 11. I can take my inverter now, and I can plug it in here, and I could be charging like I'm over here. This will charge up, see? It's now charging my 18 volt cordless drill set. So I can put another one in there if I want to with another inverter. So I could also, and listen, I just want you to understand that you can go as crazy as you want as long as you understand the amount of load you're pulling out. I'm not going to exceed 20 amp from the units, any of the units. So that guy over there is 3, this one's 14. If I wanted to right now, I could take my Dremel, and this is only a 160 watt Dremel. As long as I watch the amp there, and each of the Cigar sockets is rated 10 amp, I can plug my Dremel in while the aircon's running. Right? I can plug this in, and that's going to give me 240 volt out. See, it's getting up now. But I can run this. Right, see at 20? Probably too close to mark because that's actually a aircon. But over here, because I've got plenty of left in it, I could just take my Cigar, plug my inverter in, like so, and then run my inverter, and then I've got a Dremel running. Pulling 10 amp, that's with the fridge, 95 litre fridge running. So I can quite happily do that, as long as I stay under 20 amp. So that's how you can use pocket inverters. Pocket inverters as well, great for charging your Nomad if you get into trouble. As you would have seen before, you could use a Nomad, you could use an inverter with an AC/DC charger, and you could charge an AGM if you needed to. You can use an inverter and put it into your car, and then plug your AC/DC charger into the inverter, and then charge your Nomad. That's if you need to do that. That's if you don't have, say, an DC/DC charger like so. And if you had a Cigar DC, you could do that with, say, 10 amp, 5 amp, or you can do the Anderson configuration. Remember with these guys here, okay, so it just fell out, but with these guys here, they're simply step ups or step down. What comes in and what goes out. Just look at what's on the screen. You can get any type of step up. You can step it down from 12 volt to 6 or 3 volt if you wanted to. It's really up to what's available here. So we can, in this instance, run your 95 litre fridge, which we can do no problems. We can actually run a 24 volt air conditioner as well. So there's no limit to what you can do as long as you take your time and look at what the accessories are doing and what they draw and what they need. Don't just expect to plug a 12 volt accessory into a power source and say it's supposed to work, or I imagine it should work this way. The math is the math, and the way it works is the way it works. Okay, there are limitations to fridges and the way they work. There's limitations to aircons the way they work. As long as you're in that range and look at what you're putting in, so big solar panel, maximum 200 watt unreg, you can connect to here, let the MPPT do the work. Don't try and run a 1000 watt solar panel because it's too big. You can put a 200 watt solar panel here, and then you've got another, say, 10 amp, you can put it regulated in here, so you could probably put 400 watts of panel, 200 regulated, 200 unregulated, and you could keep this whole unit set up running, and instead of having 2 here, you could run this off 1 if you knew what you're doing. So, hope that helps you out, gives you a little bit of better understanding about some of the more technical sides of the Nomad, and the fact it's very versatile. It's a matter of you understanding what it is you require and how to connect things up.